Many years ago, I came across a few lines in a book that I connected with. They were, "It's easy to judge, but you never know another person's heart, what gives them strength and what breaks them down." I have learned to listen more and speak less. The result has been eye-opening conversations and inspirational moments that I have shared with you right here. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Crystal One-on-One. Today I'm chatting with TV host as well as personal celebrity and editorial stylist Tazibone Solomon. Did I get that right?
Yeah, sure.
Yay!
People actually say my name is a mouthful, and it's very hard to pronounce for most of the people that I meet.
I have a feeling people just kill it all the time. Do
like,
people say Tazibone?
Let's just go with Taz.
Just Taz. Do people say Tazibone?
It's easier. It's Tazibone.
It's Tazibone.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm humbled that I could join you today.
I'm happy to have you here with us.
Yeah.
We were just chatting a little bit about January, and you were saying that this year has been good to you. You've had the best January ever.
I've had the best January so far.
You are lucky. Starting the year off with blessings.
I know, and like earlier I told you, I've taken like a spiritual turn lately, and basically I think things are just falling in place.
When did it start? When did it start?
Honestly, I should say last year, around, remember the boat cruise incident?
Yes.
That pushed me to actually reevaluate my life and, put things in perspective. So I basically just recommitted my life to Christ. And, I've not been complaining ever since. Yeah, that was like a big turn for me.
I know. I can only imagine.
Yes.
I can only imagine. And you lost a lot of friends.
Yeah, I lost quite a couple. Yeah, it was sad. It was sad. I'm not even laughing but the fact that, life is fleeting. One moment you're alive and the next moment you're just gone. So, it pushes you to actually think about, the decisions you make and how you live your life. Because you could, in any moment, just not be around.
Yeah. So on top of, recommitting your life to Christ, did you make some changes in terms of family and also making time for them? Or?
Yeah, it's actually been very tricky for me, as far as being in touch with people, and that basically entails even my friends, because I run a very hectic schedule.
Okay.
And I should say basically being in touch is not my strong point. I have a lot of friends call and complain. You don't call, you don't text, you blue tick me, and my mom actually calls me from time to time. She's like,
"You've been accused of blue ticking people."
But it's nothing personal, but the schedule itself is very hectic, and most times I'm tired. I sometimes reply to text the next day or before I block off when I'm going to sleep. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
That's when I think that definitely needs to change.
Do you think maybe, I know this might sound crazy, but sometimes setting even a schedule for that or a reminder, I know it sounds weird, but to check in to your people, because I know what it's like to be busy, and you have to actually consciously make an effort to check in every now and then.
One, actually. Taking notes, definitely.
So Tazibone,
yes.
That name, tell us, where are you from?
I'm from Koboko.
Okay.
Yeah, in the northwestern part of Uganda. That's where my dad hails from. And my mom's from Uganda.
Okay.
So, but I've literally lived here all my life. I've been in Kampala. Basically, I was born there, but I've been bred in Kampala.
Okay. You were born in Koboko?
Yes, in Arua, actually.
Arua.
Which also is in the northwestern part of Uganda.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you came to Kampala when you were little?
Okay, so this is what happened. When I was about 3 years old, I think my dad and mom separated. And because I was at a tender age, and she was coming back to Kampala, she basically came with me, and single-handedly raised me ever since. I met my dad when I was 13 years old, and I lived with him for about 6 years, but those were actually the toughest 6 years of my life.
Was that from the age of
Because-
13?
Sorry?
From the age of 13?
Yes, from the age of 13, because for me, having grown up in a certain environment around certain people and meeting this, sorry to say, like stranger, because that was what he was then, that I was supposed to bond with, was kind of a challenge. Yeah, and like for a couple of, like very many times, we were always like, bumping heads and like disagreeing on a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wish, because they passed, and I wish I had the time to basically make my peace, which I did not have, unfortunately.
Was it a matter of you didn't understand each other, he didn't understand you, or?
I think we basically were like, when you grow up like a certain type of way, and you're like used to a certain type of way things are done, and then you get into this new environment, and you have this person, and it was actually very imposing.
Okay.
He was very, very imposing. It was either his way or his way. So there
Was it, and
always
your mom
no
was very
ground.
relaxed?
Yeah, my mom was always relaxed. I mean,
Okay.
she's always given me the liberty to basically do whatever it is that I feel. Let me basically let me. I would like to talk about this incident where I remember I was done with Form 6, and back then I hadn't really performed well, and I was actually figuring out what to do. So I was thinking of basically going into nursing.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and this was when I was actually with my dad, and he on the other side wanted me to basically go to teacher training college, and I told him I never dreamt of being a teacher, because for me, I feel teachers, bless them, they're definitely one of the people that shape our careers and whatnot, but I feel like that's not my calling, like imparting knowledge, and especially in that kind of setting.
And
it's
the
like
patience.
the patience.
needed.
Yeah, I know it's trying. So I did not want to go to teacher training college, and he kept insisting. He had made a decision. It's like, you're going to teacher training college.
This is what you're going
And
to
I'm
do.
like, I'm not going to teacher training college. I want to do nursing. So he gave me an ultimatum. And he was like, you have one week to think about it and make up your mind. And this 1 week basically meant 1 week of me deciding to go to teacher training college. And I remember him checking in after a week, and I was like, my mind's made up. I'm not going to teacher training college. And he's like, all right. So basically being rebellious and being difficult. And I remember he actually told me to pack up my things and leave. It was in the dead of the night, at around 5 a.m. So he comes knocking on my door. It's like, I feel like we're never going to agree on anything. I feel like you're rebellious, disrespectful. And he's like, at this point, I don't think you staying here is basically going to work out. So just pack up your things and go wherever you please. So it's then that I basically came back to Kampala and had to rebound. And I basically did 4 years of A level. Yeah, because I had to basically start all over again. I had to do Form
So you went
5
back
and
to
6. Yes. And that's when I completed and enrolled at Chambogo University, pursuing a bachelor's in microfinance.
Okay.
Yeah, I put in 3 years, and yeah, I'm basically a banker or a credit officer by training.
Have you ever used those skills?
It's funny because the mindset here is whenever you're you're done with A level and you're basically looking at what to do in tertiary or in university, the elders are always basically looking for courses that potentially that have like higher employment, basically prospects. And this course was relatively new by the time I was done, and I was pushed into doing it. I looked at it from a very objective angle, and I'm like, it makes sense. So I put in 3 years. But one thing I remember was I really never put in my all, and I was like, basically
you were just
mediocre.
doing it.
I was intentional because I'm like, let me just get done with this, and then figure out what I'm gonna do in my life after.
You said you were pushed into it. You're pushed into it by who now?
My mom and my sister.
So it's been a
So
challenge.
yeah, I've been pushed into like a lot of things, but I'm glad that I'm finally where I feel I need to be, practicing what I feel I'm passionate about.
Okay, fine. Where did you go to school when you came back?
I went to school here in Kampala. I went to Kalinabidi Primary School in Tinda. Yeah, and right after Kalinabidi is when I went to Arua and started O level at Mvara SS.
Okay.
O and A level. And then right after those 6 years is when I came back to Kampala and went to Sanji SS.
Okay. If your dad was saying you're very rebellious, were you rebellious loud or you were rebellious soft-spoken, calm?
As a child, I was like I was a loner because I'm like the last born. I'm my mom's last born, so I never grew up around like peers or people my age. So half the time I was around like really grown people. So I was a loner. And I was very guarded, very humble, but like I was very particular about what I wanted. So I feel I was never really like loud rebellious, but I was so like particular about what I wanted, and I was.
What do you mean particular? Like things had to be a certain way? Or?
I feel things also had to be a certain way because like I'm OCD.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm OCD. So
are there things you're looking around that you want to move right now?
I'm OCD and it's really bad because, say for example, before I came here today, I stepped out of the house, and because it's a flat, I live upstairs.
Okay.
So while I was going down the stairs, I had to go up again and check whether I'd like locked the door. And sometimes I do that 3 times.
Oh no! So that means you even go around checking the windows.
It's crazy. It's crazy, but I think it basically works for me because you have to be cautious.
No, you know what? It's okay. I have a thing about symmetry. I look at something and it would drive me mad until
it's funny how the little things that people do not see, or things that people would not even like fuss about.
Yeah. When you see a guy with like his collar one side up.
You just want to fix it.
It happens. There are many of us. Very many of us. Okay, but that must have been a really rough time when you were with your dad, though. You didn't know him, and now you come to stay with him, and then you're not getting along so well. Did you meet like siblings as well when you went to see your dad?
Yeah, like a lot of them, because I'm from actually a very large family. My dad had 6 wives.
Wow.
From my dad's side, the total number of siblings I have should be like about 22. It's a crazy number.
That is a big number.
Yeah, so I got to meet like a lot of them.
Yay. So instead of just coming to meet a family, it's like you met a village.
Like a lot of different like energies.
Was there anyone that you connected with who was there for you, especially during that time?
My elder sister, the one that I follow, yeah. Because actually, even growing up, I was told like that we looked like alike, like a lot. And I remember back then, whenever we walk out and people would look like people would look at us, they would think we were twins.
Oh.
like as we grew, I think we just kind of we don't look as alike anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you still close?
Yeah, she's been like, she's been very, very supportive, and she's that sibling that I've always like vented to and, engaged about things that I have not, like I was skittish about talking to anyone else.
But you could talk to her.
Yes.
When did your dad pass?
My dad passed in 2013.
2013.
Around September, yes.
And your mom, because have you ever had that conversation? Because I think many people fail to ever have a conversation where you talk about sometimes doing things because your parents wanted you to do them, even though it wasn't right for you.
I've talked to my mom a lot about, these things. And I feel, my mom has practically just, eased up with time. Because back in the day, she was also, I think she was very, very particular about how she brought me up and about, the things that she basically, like the decisions she made for me. So with time, she's kind of like just eased up and, been more accommodative. Yeah, and it's only recently that I've, only like started really opening up to her. I remember like last year was the first time I ever had a drink with her. And like, okay, now
But you're grown.
Like, drinking alcohol and whatnot. But like the funny thing is we're out at a bar and like, should I ask for a soda or like a tonic water? I'm like, I'll have a beer. And she's like, fine. And then I was basically just working my way through it slowly. So by the time I was done, she was like on her third one. She's like, do you want another one? And that in a way is like a profound moment because it's when I think she basically like realized that I'd come of age and that I had the liberty. She trusted me, with that liberty to make decisions for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
All right. So whenever I was done with university, in my third year, did my research, and by the time I was done with my dissertation, I was a bit late.
Okay.
So I handed it in to my supervisor, who I did not meet then.
Ooh.
So it kind of like messed up my, results, because I remember whenever the graduation list came out, my name was not on it. And you know what happens when your name is not on the graduation list, you panic. So I panicked. Then when I followed up, they're like, you know what, it's going to be, you are going to graduate, because there was a bunch of us then. They were like, you are going to graduate. There's been a couple of changes that are going to be made and whatnot. And we were positive until basically I called in the day before graduation and they were like, your name is still not on the list. So I did not graduate.
Okay.
But I was told I was going to get my transcript like the next year with my peers, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever the transcripts came out, mine was not there. It was missing. And when I followed up, they told me I was going to get my transcript the next year. So I had one full year as like a graduate, but with no papers. So that practically made me useless. I could not go out and like actively look for a job. So it's then that there was an internship opening at Sylvia Worry, and yeah, I kind of like took it up because I was I've always been a very artistic person. I've been inspired by arts. I did art in O and A level.
Okay.
And I did art twice in A level, and I actually got a B both times. So I did not really think that fashion was my thing then. So it was just an internship opening in like a fashion like you know, a fashion
So was that
house.
her fashion house? Okay, it wasn't the magazine.
It was a fashion house.
Mm.
And knowing Sylvia Worry back in the day, she was like, you know, the it person when it came to fashion. Like, let me just try it out. So I basically made a couple of sketches and I put them in, and then I was called. And you know, I was called, went through orientation, and basically was taken on in under the design studio as a production like assistant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I basically started off as a production assistant in her design studio, and then went my way up through the ranks because I remember interning for about 1.5 years until I was like given a full-time job. And then the TV came in, and then African Woman also came in.
The TV came in first.
Yes, TV came in first.
Okay.
Yeah.